Good afternoon and welcome to GrainTV. It's March 13th, 2013. To my left is Logan Burgess and I'm Brock Shimbino. Let's turn over to the Fire Tip trading software to see where we ended in Chicago today. Corn was down 3.5 cents, soybeans off 21 3/4, wheat in Chicago up 7 1/4, and Kansas City wheat was up 2.5 as well. You know, Logan, I think the real story here today is soybeans selling off over 20 cents. If we turn over to the daily chart here for the soybean May contract, you can see that we did have a sharp sell-off today, but you know, I think really this was driven by the fact that we were trading near the top end of this range that we've been in over the last several months or so. We haven't really seen export sales over this last week or so on the daily reports by the USDA. So I think that really left the door open for the bears to take this market and push it a little bit lower. Once we did start selling, the day session opened up in Chicago, and we ended up pushing quite a bit lower, hit that 1450 psychological support level, broke right through that, and ended up the day sharply lower, down about 21 3/4 cents here today.
Yeah, you know, it's kind of a similar story for corn. You know, we were trading a little bit higher here in the night session. Kind of started to cup into the into lower territory as we approached the opening of the day session, and as you can see here, really saw some sharp selling as the day session opened. That certainly wasn't helped out by the EIA ethanol numbers that we had reported out today. If we hop into our model and see how those numbers stacked up to what it's been here throughout the marketing year, as you can see, the red bars are weekly production figures. The green line is our forecast of weekly production figures based on where the current crush margin is. And as you can see, this week, for the third week in a row, we did have production backing off a bit, down to 797,000 barrels per day on average. Really driving this reduction in production has been an ethanol crush margin, which has hovered around $1.35 per bushel here for the last couple weeks. Certainly when we saw production really starting to ramp up about 2 or 3 weeks ago, we saw that crush margin around $1.60 per bushel. So clearly right now the incentive is not for ethanol plants to be producing large quantities of ethanol, and our model still remains that we're going to need to see the USDA at some point make a revision lower in corn going to ethanol by about 100 million bushels. So we'll keep you posted on that. But certainly, you know, I think fundamentally this does weigh on this corn market, and if we look at the action kind of reflected today, we were able to make up some ground toward the end of the day, but certainly, bottom line here, we certainly found some sharp selling. Wouldn't be surprised if this corn market kept drifting lower.
You know, in the near term, I think it is kind of an encouraging sign that $7 support level did hold once again. But longer term, like you were saying, I think the potential lies to the downside right now. There really isn't the demand out there. Ethanol has been running well behind pace. And if we think about export sales and the export sales report coming out tomorrow, we've seen that running behind pace as well. We still are well behind pace to meet even the most recent revision by the USDA. If we just take a look at the estimates for tomorrow as well, you know, corn on the old crop, we're looking at about 150,000 metric tons of sales for last week. New crop about 250,000. Soybeans 400 on the old crop and 850,000 on the new crop. And wheat 500 and 250 on the new crop. So once again, we're looking for good sales for soybeans. A little bit about average of what we've seen over the last several weeks for corn, and then wheat a little bit better than what we've seen recently as well. So we're going to have to definitely pay attention to those as they come out tomorrow morning. At GrainTV is where you can find us on Twitter. We'll tweet those once they do come across the news wires.
Absolutely, guys. Well, thanks a lot for joining us here on GrainTV. If you guys want to get live quotes over at your home or office, visit us over at grainhedge.com. You can take a no obligation of the trading platform that we use here on GrainTV. But in general, Brock, I think that kind of wraps up our show, what we saw today for a Wednesday here in the grain market. Thanks a lot for joining us, guys. Have a great night. We'll see you tomorrow for the export sales report.